Have you ever wondered why some people, after losing their jobs, going through a divorce, or suddenly losing a loved one, are able to stand up again stronger than before, while others collapse and never seem to recover? Is it luck, genetics, or some mysterious, supernatural power they possess? The answer is no. Inner strength is not a gift from the heavens, nor is it a distant miracle. It all starts with small habits, repeated every single day, choices that seem insignificant at first, but over the years they accumulate into a true superpower of the mind. And the best part, anyone can develop these habits, including you. No one is born with a mind of steel, and the habits that create mental strength are not complicated or out of reach. They are simple actions, repeated daily, requiring your patience and persistence, not any special talent. But it is precisely this persistence that turns challenges into springboards and adversity into momentum. If you are determined to build an unshakable mind, don't just listen and let it slip by. Stay with me until the very end, because each habit is a crucial building block in the foundation of your inner strength. Don't skip any of them, for only when you embrace them all will you truly experience the powerful transformation that Stoic philosophy can bring. Let's discover all 9 habits together and make them the cornerstone of your own life. Habit 1. Focus on what you can control. Imagine standing in the eye of a storm. Winds howl around you, chaos swirls, and debris flies past. Yet, right at the center, there's a rare, almost mystical calm. This is where clarity lives, the place where you realize that while you cannot control the storm, you can choose how you stand within it. In life, storms come in many forms. Criticism at work, unexpected setbacks, financial pressures, or even the heavy weight of other people's opinions. The world is unpredictable, often unfair, and at times deeply challenging. But the wisdom of Stoicism teaches that true power comes not from wishing the storm away, but from learning to master your response within it. This lesson focuses on what you can control, is both radically simple and profoundly transformative. It begins with a question that can change your perspective. What is truly within your control right now? Most people, swept up by events and the actions of others, spend enormous energy fighting against things that simply cannot be changed. The Stoics saw this as the root of frustration and suffering. They knew that if you wage war against reality, reality always wins. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic philosophers, offered a timeless reminder. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This single sentence is a lifeline. Pause and let it sink in. How often do you find yourself anxious, angry, or exhausted, not because of what has happened, but because of your refusal to accept what you cannot change? It is only when you truly let go of the need to control everything that you discover where your real agency lies. And in that space, where acceptance meets action, you find a new kind of freedom. Consider, for instance, the experience of being criticized at work. The instinctive response might be defensiveness, self-doubt, or even resentment. It is tempting to obsess over the words and opinions of others, replaying them in your mind, wishing they were kinder or more understanding. Yet all this energy achieves nothing but suffering. What lies within your control is how you respond. You can choose to reflect honestly, to learn if there is truth in the feedback, and to continue doing your best work regardless of external noise. In making that conscious choice, you reclaim your power. This principle extends to every area of life, relationships, ambition, and even health. There will always be variables beyond your grasp: the economy, the weather, the unpredictable moods of those around you. You cannot dictate outcomes. You cannot prevent every hardship or injustice. But you can decide what you do with what you are given. Do you hold on to bitterness, or do you grow? Do you remain stagnant, or do you adapt? The answer always lies within the scope of your own choices. There is a quiet strength in this approach. It does not mean surrendering to passivity or resignation. On the contrary, it is the foundation of resilience. When you commit your time, energy, and emotion only to what you can influence, your actions, your words, your attitude, you become unshakable. The world outside might never be tamed, but your inner world becomes a fortress, calm and resolute. Transitioning from resistance to acceptance is not always easy. It takes practice, self-awareness, and a willingness to let go of illusions. But every time you shift your attention back to what is truly yours to command, you carve out a little more peace for yourself. The storm may rage on, but you have found your footing. So the next time you are caught in chaos, remember the wisdom of the Stoics. Ask yourself, what can I actually control right now? Take a deep breath, let go of the rest, and pour your energy into what matters most. In doing so, you don't just survive the storm, you become the calm at its center. Habit 2. Practice letting go of meaningless things. There's a moment most of us have experienced. You find yourself tangled in an argument over something trivial, perhaps a misunderstanding at work, a careless comment from a friend, or an online debate that spirals out of control. Hours later, you're left feeling drained, replaying every word in your mind, wondering how it escalated and why it matters so much. Yet deep down, you know, this conflict, this mental noise, is eating away at your energy, and it contributes nothing to your real happiness or personal growth. This is where the wisdom of letting go begins, a wisdom at the heart of Stoicism. In a world overflowing with information, opinions, and daily demands, the art of release is more vital than ever. The Stoics recognized that not every battle deserves our attention, and not every expectation imposed by society aligns with our own values. When we choose to let go of what is meaningless, we reclaim our energy, our peace, and our power to live purposefully. Letting go does not mean apathy or indifference. Rather, it is a courageous act of discernment. It is a conscious decision to refuse the burdens that do not serve us. Many people spend their days burdened by the invisible weight of others' expectations, the urge to prove themselves right, the need for approval, or the compulsion to control how they are perceived. These concerns rarely contribute to a meaningful life. They are distractions that scatter our focus and diminish our resilience. Imagine a life where you do not feel compelled to win every argument, where the opinions of those who do not understand you hold no power. Here you can release the anxiety of being liked or admired by everyone. In such a life, your mental energy is preserved for the things that truly matter: your personal values, your growth, and your relationships with those who genuinely care. The Stoics advise us to look within and ask, does this worry, this expectation, or this argument help me become the person I want to be? Or is it merely clutter, noise that distracts from my real purpose? Marcus Aurelius, one of the great Stoic philosophers, captured this insight simply and powerfully. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This truth is both liberating and humbling. When we internalize that our true strength lies in mastering our own mind, we stop fighting battles that cannot be won, battles over gossip, over the shifting opinions of strangers, over outcomes beyond our reach. We gain the clarity to invest our energy where it will bear fruit, in self-improvement, in compassion, and in the relentless pursuit of our authentic goals. Learning to let go is a practice, not a one-time event. It requires daily vigilance, an honest reckoning with what distracts us, and a willingness to set it down. At first, it may feel unnatural or even uncomfortable. After all, many of us have been taught that caring about everything is a virtue. But over time, this practice cultivates a deeper sense of serenity. Instead of reacting impulsively to every perceived slight, you respond with calmness and perspective. Instead of being swayed by every new demand, you are guided by your own priorities. In moments of stress or when pulled into the orbit of negativity, pause and ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? Does this align with who I truly am and what I value? Most of the time, the answer reveals just how many burdens can be released without consequence. To practice letting go of meaningless things is to make room for what endures: purpose, inner peace, and the freedom to become your best self. It is not an escape from life, but the very discipline that allows you to live it more fully, more courageously, and more authentically. Habit 3. Accept adversity as a natural part of life. Adversity is not an accident in life. It is an essential ingredient. Many people spend years, sometimes their whole lives, trying to avoid hardship, waiting for an imaginary moment when the storms will finally cease. But if you look closely, you will see that the strongest minds, the most resilient souls, are not those who have lived in the absence of difficulty, but those who have chosen to step into adversity and allow it to shape them. Life is not a gentle river. It is an unpredictable ocean. And every wave, every struggle, is a chance to build your inner strength. The ancient Stoics understood this truth deeply. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and philosopher, once wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This simple yet profound insight captures the very heart of Stoic resilience. When faced with obstacles, we often freeze or run, but Marcus urges us to embrace them. The very things that seem to block our path are actually the raw materials from which we can build our strength and character. To internalize this idea is to transform every setback into a stepping stone, every hardship into a new opportunity to grow. Consider the story of Terry Fox, a young Canadian athlete who, after losing a leg to cancer, refused to let adversity define the limits of his life. Instead, He saw a challenge as a call to action. He ran the equivalent of a marathon every single day across Canada to raise money for cancer research, despite enduring pain and physical limitations that would have stopped almost anyone else. Terry's journey was not about erasing hardship from his life. It was about letting adversity become his teacher, his motivation, and ultimately his legacy. His example stands as a powerful reminder that adversity can give us purpose, focus, and a deep reservoir of strength. Modern science echoes what the Stoics recognized long ago. In a 2010 study published in Psychological Science, researchers Mark Seary, Alison Holman, and Roxane Cohen-Silver discovered that people who had experienced a moderate amount of adversity in their lives, neither too little nor too much, were actually better able to manage stress and reported higher overall life satisfaction than those who faced either constant hardship or almost none at all. According to their findings, facing some adversity can build our psychological resilience, making us stronger in the face of future challenges and helping us value the peaceful and joyful moments even more. Adversity, approached with the right attitude, does not simply test us, it prepares us to thrive. By accepting adversity as a natural part of existence, we loosen its grip on our hearts. We stop asking, "Why me?" and instead begin to ask, "What can I learn from this?" Adversity becomes not a curse, but a gift, the crucible in which strength, wisdom, and resilience are forged. And yet, embracing hardship does not mean closing our eyes to the good that exists in each day. On the contrary, the ability to withstand adversity is amplified when we can see and savor what is positive, even in the darkest times, which leads us to the next Stoic habit, one that has the power to transform how you see the world, regardless of your circumstances. Stay tuned for habit number 4, where you'll discover how the smallest moments of appreciation can light up even the hardest journeys. Habit 4. Practice gratitude every day. We wake up to a world where expectations seem endless at work, in our relationships, and within ourselves. It's easy to slip into the habit of seeing only what's missing, measuring our worth by what we lack or what others appear to have. This mindset gradually erodes the foundation of our happiness, leaving us anxious, irritable, and forever unsatisfied. Why does this happen so easily? Because the human mind, by nature, gravitates towards problems. Our attention is captured by shortcomings and disappointments, while the good in our lives fades quietly into the background. This subtle shift in perspective, if left unchallenged, becomes a breeding ground for resentment. We compare our journeys with those around us, feeling that somehow we fall short. The joy of simple moments, shared laughter, the comfort of home, the warmth of sunlight on our skin go unacknowledged, lost to the background noise of daily demands. Left unchecked, this pattern blinds us to the abundance we already possess and blinds us to the progress we have made. The result is a growing restlessness, a sense that peace and satisfaction are always just out of reach. Yet there is a powerful antidote, simple in theory, but transformative in practice: gratitude. By deliberately choosing to recognize and appreciate the small gifts embedded in each day, we reclaim a sense of agency over our mental landscape. Gratitude is not just a fleeting feeling, it is a practice, a conscious act that shifts our focus from scarcity to abundance, from frustration to acceptance. Practicing gratitude does not mean ignoring challenges or pretending that life is always easy. Rather, it means refusing to allow difficulties to drown out everything else. It means acknowledging that, even on the hardest days, there are things, however small, to be grateful for. A hot cup of tea, a friend's message, a quiet moment before the world awakens. These may seem trivial, but they are anchors that steady the mind and calm the storm of negativity. A practical way to cultivate this habit is to set aside a few minutes each morning or night to reflect on 3 things you are grateful for. At first, this may feel forced, especially if you are overwhelmed or struggling. But over time, this simple ritual rewires the brain, helping you to notice and savor positive moments with greater ease. The effect is cumulative. As gratitude grows, comparison and resentment begin to loosen their grip. Emotional balance returns. You become more present, more resilient, and more open to joy, even amidst difficulty. In the end, practicing gratitude is not about denying pain or hardship. It is about choosing, again and again, to honor the good that exists alongside the struggle. It is a quiet rebellion against the culture of never enough, a daily promise to yourself that, no matter the circumstances, you will not let the beauty of your life go unnoticed. Gratitude, practiced consistently, becomes a wellspring of strength, one of the surest paths to the strongest mind you can ever build. Habit 5. Take time for silence and reflection. Have you ever caught yourself moving through your day as if on autopilot, reacting to every notification, every demand, every unexpected twist without really stopping to think? The noise around us, both literal and mental, pushes us from one task to the next, from one worry to another. Before long, we find ourselves feeling overwhelmed, anxious, and even disconnected from who we really are. This relentless pace of life is one of the most subtle threats to our mental strength. When every moment is filled with distractions, our minds rarely get a chance to rest, let alone reflect. As a result, we're prone to knee-jerk reactions, emotional outbursts, and hasty decisions that do little to serve our deepest values. How often do we regret words spoken in haste or actions taken without a moment's thought? The answer, for many, is far too often. But what if the solution is simpler than we think? What if the antidote to this chaos isn't to keep running, but to pause, even briefly, for silence and self-reflection? Taking time each day for silence is a habit as old as wisdom itself. Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. Without moments of stillness, there can be no true understanding of ourselves or the world. It is in silence that our inner voice grows clearer, our thoughts settle, and our sense of direction strengthens. When we deliberately step away from the noise, even for just 5 or 10 minutes, we reclaim a small sanctuary where our mind can breathe, recover, and regain its balance. Imagine the impact of starting your morning by simply sitting in silence. No phone, no conversations, no pressure to perform, just you and your breath, present with yourself. In those quiet moments, you may notice your anxieties gradually soften, your thoughts become less scattered, and your focus sharpens for the day ahead. Such a practice is not about suppressing your thoughts or escaping your problems. Instead, it's about gently observing what arises within you, learning to accept, understand, and navigate your inner landscape with greater clarity and calm. The power of silence is that it transforms how we experience stress. When you build this habit, you begin to see that not every problem needs an immediate reaction. You become less ruled by external chaos and more guided by your internal compass. Over time, this simple act of reflection can lead to greater resilience, better decision-making, and a profound sense of peace even when life outside remains turbulent. We live in a culture that celebrates constant activity, but true strength often lies in the opposite, in being able to stop, to listen, and to reflect. The habit of carving out time for silence is a declaration that your inner world matters just as much as anything happening outside. If you've ever felt overwhelmed, reactive, or lost in the noise, perhaps it's time to experiment with this Stoic practice. Just a few minutes a day could change the way you see yourself and your challenges. What about you? Have you tried setting aside time for silence and reflection? How has it changed your outlook or helped you regain your mental balance? Share your thoughts and experiences below. Your story could inspire someone else on their journey to a stronger, calmer mind. Habit 6. Practice memento mori. Bruce Lee once famously said, "If you truly love life, don't waste time, because time is what life is made of." More than just an iconic martial artist, Bruce Lee embodied a relentless awareness of life's brevity. Every punch, every word, every day, he approached them as if they might be his last, and in doing so, squeezed the full juice from every fleeting moment. This perspective didn't make him somber or fearful. On the contrary, it fueled a contagious vitality and urgency. Lee's outlook draws from an ancient Stoic habit called memento mori, a reminder that one day we will die. Many find themselves overwhelmed by anxiety, regret, and the persistent fear of what might go wrong. The future becomes a source of worry, the past a source of regret, and the present, often overlooked, passes by unnoticed. We are taught, often subtly, to plan endlessly, to strive relentlessly, to measure success in terms of accumulation and status. Yet, beneath this restless chase lies a quiet dread, the sense that time is slipping through our fingers, that life may pass us by while we are busy with lesser things. This anxiety, left unaddressed, quietly erodes our joy and sense of meaning. The Stoic practice of memento mori is not an invitation to dwell on death in a morbid way. Instead, it is the antidote to this creeping fear. By reminding ourselves that our time is finite, we clarify what truly matters and what does not. The awareness of mortality can feel uncomfortable at first, but it serves as a wake-up call. It snaps us out of autopilot. It urges us to put aside petty grievances, to stop worrying about how others see us, and to invest our attention in what genuinely brings us fulfillment. It is not about fearing the end, but about learning to live more courageously right here, right now. Consider the effect this perspective has in the thick of daily pressures. Instead of being paralyzed by anxiety about the future or haunted by past mistakes, the person who practices memento mori focuses on the value of each present moment, arguments lose their grip. Minor setbacks become irrelevant. A difficult day becomes an opportunity to act with more intention and gratitude. Each morning, the simple question, "What if today were my last?" transforms the way we speak to loved ones, approach our work, and face challenges. Life's fragility becomes a catalyst for kindness, honesty, and purpose. As Bruce Lee's own life showed, living with the consciousness of our mortality brings a new intensity and clarity to everything we do. We become less afraid, less wasteful, and far more present. The fear of death, when faced directly, loses its power to control us. What remains is the pure energy to make today count. In the end, memento mori is not a gloomy ritual, but a source of strength. It teaches us to let go of needless worries, to forgive more easily, to pursue what we love without delay. By keeping our own impermanence in mind, we unlock the freedom to live boldly and meaningfully, turning every day, no matter how ordinary, into something unforgettable. Habit 7. Live by your core values, not following the crowd. At every turn, people are told who they should be, what they should want, and how they should live. Social media amplifies every trend, and peer pressure, subtle or direct, can nudge even the strongest among us to drift from our own compass. Yet, what happens when we surrender our sense of self to the crowd? The result is often a quiet dissatisfaction, a nagging sense of having betrayed something sacred within us, our core values. The real challenge is not in identifying what the majority wants, but in daring to look inward and ask, what truly matters to me? Which principles do I want my life to stand for, regardless of whether anyone else agrees? Living by core values demands courage, for it means sometimes choosing the harder path, speaking an unpopular truth, refusing an easy shortcut, or walking away from acceptance if it comes at the cost of integrity. When everyone around is chasing after approval, material rewards, or validation, the temptation to join them can be overwhelming. Yet, history and philosophy both teach us. Those who leave a lasting impact are not those who blend in, but those who stand firmly on what they know is right, even if it costs them something in the moment. This lesson lies at the heart of Stoic wisdom. The Stoics did not simply preach detachment or indifference. They practiced living with unwavering commitment to their chosen values, regardless of praise or criticism. Consider the simple yet profound power of honesty. Imagine you value truth above comfort. There may come a time when telling the truth risks misunderstanding, rejection, or even a professional setback. Still, choosing honesty, even when it costs you, is an act of true strength. The act itself becomes a declaration. Your worth is not defined by others' approval, but by your fidelity to your own principles. This is the solution Stoicism offers to the relentless pressure of the crowd. Build your foundation on what you believe is good, just, and meaningful, and let your actions reflect those convictions every day. It is not always easy. You may feel alone at times, but this inner alignment, this sense of living authentically, brings a kind of peace that cannot be found in applause or consensus. Ryan Holiday, in his book The Obstacle is the Way, draws from Stoic teachings to remind us that obstacles are not merely things to avoid, but opportunities to prove and refine our character. He tells the story of those who, when faced with public backlash or misunderstanding, refuse to abandon their principles. Instead of following the crowd, they used adversity as a crucible for their values. In doing so, they discovered not only strength, but deep fulfillment. Ultimately, living by your core values is a quiet form of rebellion against the superficial metrics of success. It is a daily act of courage, a commitment to authenticity over conformity. The world may not always understand or reward your choices, but the clarity and strength that come from being true to yourself are their own reward. In a noisy, uncertain world, this is the foundation of the strongest mind you can build. Habit 8. Accept and forgive yourself. Imagine life as a long journey across an ever-changing ocean. Sometimes your boat glides smoothly under a calm sky. Other times, storms roll in unexpected, relentless, and frightening. In those moments, many people focus on patching the boat or blaming the weather, yet often forget the most important thing: how they treat themselves when the journey gets rough. Self-criticism is natural. Everyone stumbles, makes mistakes, and falls short of their own expectations. Yet, the danger lies not in failing, but in becoming your own harshest judge. The cycle of self-blame can be a prison, locking you away from growth and second chances. You replay your failures like old, painful movies, convinced that you're defined by the worst moments of your story. This endless internal battle drains energy, confidence, and hope, leaving you adrift, unable to chart a new course. But what if there's a different way? Imagine looking at your imperfections not as evidence of weakness, but as essential parts of your journey. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting your mistakes, nor does it mean denying responsibility. It is the conscious decision to acknowledge where you went wrong, to learn from it, and then to release yourself from the grip of guilt. This process is not easy. It requires honesty, humility, and above all, courage. However, it is also the gateway to true strength. Consider the story of Robert Downey Jr. He faced addiction, legal troubles, and public humiliation. For years, he seemed to be his own worst enemy, lost in a spiral of self-destruction. Yet, he chose a different path, one of acceptance and forgiveness. He admitted his flaws, sought help, and, crucially, allowed himself to move forward. Through this journey, he not only rebuilt his career, but transformed his life, becoming an icon of resilience and hope. His story is a vivid reminder that forgiving yourself is not a luxury. It is a necessity for those who want to rise after falling. In daily life, embracing this Stoic habit means speaking to yourself with the same compassion you would offer a friend. It means remembering that growth is rarely a straight line, and that even the most painful detours are part of the process. When you accept and forgive yourself, you free up the energy you once spent on regret and channel it toward new possibilities. You become less afraid of failure and more willing to take risks, knowing that mistakes are not the end, but an invitation to begin again. Ultimately, self-forgiveness is a radical act of self-respect. It allows you to stand tall, even when others doubt you, and to keep moving forward, no matter how many times you fall. This is not weakness, but the ultimate form of inner strength. Now, As you prepare to cultivate this powerful habit in your own life, consider the final Stoic lesson on this journey. What if you could transform your deepest fears into a source of calm and courage? Habit 9 invites you to challenge everything you think you know about fear itself by daring to ask, what is the worst that can happen? Are you ready to discover what lies on the other side of your worries? Habit 9. Always ask, what is the worst that can happen? Fear is a powerful force. It shapes our decisions, limits our ambitions, and often determines the path we dare to take. Sometimes, fear can protect us, warning us of genuine danger. But more often, it acts as a shadow looming over our minds, convincing us that even the smallest risks might lead to disaster. This is why the Stoic habit of always asking yourself, what is the worst that can happen, is so transformative. By confronting our fears directly and rationally, we reclaim our courage and clarity. Too often, people find themselves paralyzed by the anxiety of, what if? What if I fail? What if others judge me? What if things don't go as planned? The mind, left unchecked, has a way of magnifying these worries until they seem insurmountable. In reality, most fears are not as formidable as we imagine. They thrive in the shadows of uncertainty and assumption. The Stoic solution is to bring those fears into the light, to look them in the eye and ask, honestly, what's the worst that could truly happen? This mental exercise is not about pessimism or expecting the worst. Instead, it's a deliberate act of honesty. By spelling out our deepest worries, we rob them of their mystery and power. This practice, known as fear setting, was championed by author and entrepreneur Tim Ferriss. In moments of doubt or indecision, he sits down and writes, step by step, the absolute worst-case scenarios that might result from his actions. Then, he outlines what he would do if those things actually happened, and how he could recover. What emerges is rarely as catastrophic as the fear itself made it seem. The magic of this practice is twofold. First, it clarifies reality. Most worst-case outcomes are not permanent. They are setbacks, not the end of the road. Second, it sparks creativity and resilience, because with each possible obstacle comes a potential solution. Fear setting turns worry into a plan and panic into preparation. This habit is particularly crucial in times of uncertainty, when life's pressures feel overwhelming. External challenges, whether financial, personal, or social, can make the mind race with endless negative possibilities. But when you force yourself to articulate the worst, something liberating happens. The vague threat becomes specific, and the specific threat becomes manageable. You realize that, in most situations, you have the capacity to adapt, to heal, or to start over. By always asking, what is the worst that can happen? You shift your focus from imaginary catastrophes to concrete realities. You develop the mental habit of resilience, not by denying danger, but by preparing for it, accepting it, and moving forward anyway. This is a core Stoic mindset, that peace of mind comes not from perfect circumstances, but from an honest, courageous confrontation with life as it is. In the end, the question is not meant to make you fearful, but to free you from fear's grip. It is a daily invitation to live boldly, to embrace the unknown, and to remember that strength of mind is forged not by avoiding difficulty, but by facing it, one honest question at a time. A strong mind isn't something you're born with. It's built, day by day, through small, consistent habits. These 9 Stoic habits are your compass, helping you not just survive tough times, but live more fully, intentionally, and on your own terms. Remember, your greatest strength is your ability to master yourself, and that journey always starts with simple, daily steps. Which of these habits speaks to you the most? Or do you have a Stoic practice of your own that helps you stay strong when life gets tough? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. I'd love to hear how you apply Stoicism in your own life. If you found value in this video, please give it a like, share it with someone who needs it, and don't forget to subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. Check out the next videos on your screen and keep building your strongest mind.